You can't really ask the question about the purpose or the meaning of life unless your question is coming from a kind of emptiness. Because there's something at the bottom in you that can be felt only when everything else has been emptied out. When you've chased career, given yourself to love, searched for answers in science, art, even religion, and found them all lacking. Now, you might never have had those things, or you might have experienced everything they have to offer, but they still didn't add up to meaning, and they don't touch what's missing, do they? But they were never meant to. Of course, you can ask philosophically, out of curiosity, but that will never get a real answer. All you'll get that way is yet another shallow goal equal to the depth of commitment in your question. You can ask, but you just won't be able to hear the deeper answer until that question is an ache, a heartfelt demand that life answer me now. Maybe you already feel that. That's the key. Without it, we're still asking with a logic that's controlled by our conditioning, only asking about the things it tells us to ask, and hearing with a very limited perception that it will allow. We believe that we feel and do what we determine because we're unaware of just how conditioned we really are or what that conditioning consists of. We just don't feel it. Our programming is hidden from us, and so is the fact that it's hidden from us. And so our meaning and purpose, because that conditioned logic isn't built to apply to the big picture where meaning and purpose are found. To discover the purpose of life, you have to be able to at least begin to sense the world you live in and your place in it from outside of it, the way you could with something that you want to build. You'd know what it's made of, what it'll be when it's completed, and exactly why you're building it. The meaning of life is an unsettling question, because just by asking it, we're halfway letting go of all that we know and admitting that maybe we don't know anything. It's scary to hold out the lonely hope that there could be an answer, and terrifying to think that there might not be. And yet, we wouldn't be asking at all if we weren't already willing to let go of the other half. If we could only get an answer. But it's not a crazy question. The world says it is, because there's no answer to it in the world. And after a while, we end up saying it's crazy too. And we turn our thoughts and energy to anything else we can, just to not have to ask. In fact, most of what we do with our lives, we do to bury that question. But when we were children, we couldn't help but ask it. And it certainly wasn't philosophical. It came from an innocent wonder, questioning the obvious about what we felt with utter clarity, that as if out of nowhere we'd suddenly appeared in a new reality. We needed to know why. So we asked, fully expecting an answer. Why am I here? What am I? Why am I me? Is this real? Am I really alive? Why am I alive? What is life? What is life for? Why does it begin and end? What happens when it ends? Why don't I feel that it will end? Nothing short of those answers are answers, are they? But the hunger of the need to ask faded when you kept seeing that adults couldn't answer and didn't ask. When school taught everything but what life is and how to live it. And when puberty overtook you with the promise programmed into your hormones that filled up your dreams and desires. When you were finally out on your own in the world and you had to take care of your own survival. And yet, you've got to admit that the poignant beauty of life is somehow rooted in its impermanence. The sensation that we live in a mystery with an undercurrent of longing that runs through everything. Is that accidental? Is it an imperfection? Does it mean that there is no answer? Or is meaning's concealment actually part of the answer? Maybe purpose isn't designed to fit into that narrow conditioned space, but to help us grow out of it. Most of us let go of that question. Some never do because they can't, because that unquenchable point in their heart isn't connected to this world. It already contains the seed of the meaning. That's where it came from, and what it's unbearably homesick for. And it's a bitter question that never sleeps. So you wake up at 2 a.m., go to Google, and type in, "What is the meaning of life?" And despite the best reasoned and well-intentioned responses, isn't it clear that the meaning of life can't be communication, service, understanding, or following your dream only in this life? Because this life ends. Those are good, useful answers for someone with a different question like, what's the next thing I can do to make me happy for a while? But for a person who wants to know what life is, it doesn't even touch the matter. Because the root of your question is the search for something unlimited, eternal, and whole that puts us in touch with what we are, not just what to do till we die. The meaning of life lies outside of what we call life. Meaning or purpose are really the force of nature that brings about and assists existence, so it's got to be dimensionally greater than the life we now know, and not limited by what limits us. So, how is it concealed from us? How do we uncover it? And how do we live in it?